Hey everyone, so I'm making some beef braciole. It's really good, super affordable, and really tasty. So right now in a mixing bowl I've got some fine breadcrumbs, chopped parsley, rosemary, thyme, and a little bit of garlic too, a little finely minced garlic. Right now, as you can see, I just finished grating some really nice Parmesan Reggiano inside the mixing bowl. Gives it a little bit creaminess as well as saltiness, and of course a little bit of salt as well. We want to season our mixture, and then a little bit of just a small drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. We just really want a consistency that kind of resembles that of sand. We just want to kind of bind everything together, so not too much oil, and just give everything a good mix, and you should have your filling right there. It's super easy. Okay, so here we have our thinly sliced beef. In this case, I'm using top sirloin, but flank steak is really nice as well. We want something really affordable and really lean. So I'm seasoning it with a little bit of kosher salt, and then I'm gonna add some nice lemon zest too, right on top. It's gonna add a lot of brightness to the dish, as well as really kind of cutting down the richness of it as well. And you don't want to use something expensive like New York strip or ribeye. First bang, it's too expensive. There's no point in doing that, and it's just too much fat in those types of beef. So like I said, this top sirloin came pre-sliced at the supermarket already, so that was really nice. I didn't have to do any butchering, and I think these three little thin slices cost me about like $3 or $4, somewhere around there. So this is a really affordable dish. Like I said, flank steak works really nicely as well. If you get flank steak, you might have to thinly slice it and just hammer it out a little bit just to make it a little bit more thin. And now I am just adding a little bit of chopped parsley right on top. All right, now it's time to stuff our beef. So we're gonna take our breadcrumb mixture and just lay it out right over the top, just kind of get it everywhere there. Then we'll just take a spoon, even it out. Um, get a pretty good amount in there, don't be shy. When you do have your breadcrumb mixture in the beef, you're going to just roll one into the other, and it's easy. You just roll it a little bit more tightly, and then we'll go ahead and tie it at the end. Once your beef is all rolled up, we're going to go ahead and tie it with butcher string. And if you can't find butcher string, toothpicks work just as well. Just, remember to take them out once it's done cooking. I'm using a really simple knot. There's no need for a fancy butcher's knot or anything. Just, it's kind of like a shoe. You just tie it. Well, we'll just cut the ends right off there. And same thing with the ends. So I'm just basically going to do 3 strings per roll. So one in the middle, and then at each end, just to kind of keep it the stuffing inside. Now just get your pan on a medium to, a good medium heat, adding some olive oil, and we're going to get ready to sear the beef basically. Add some color on there. You don't want to stick it right in the tomato sauce raw. So when you get color on something, it's going to add a lot of flavor to it, and it's going to create a fond at the bottom of the pan. And that's what we're aiming for. So get that pan on medium heat. Since we're using olive oil, I don't want too high of a heat to burn the oil. That's the noise you want to hear right there. It's beautiful. And if you haven't seasoned your beef rolls already, go ahead and season it with salt. I forgot to do that, so I'm just going to go ahead and season, the top of the beef rolls with salt. Okay, so I'm checking the bottom there, nice sear. It's got a nice crust on that. We want all sides of the beef roll to be, to have a good crust on it, because we want to impart flavor everywhere, right? You don't want to season one side of the beef. So go ahead, just wait for a good crust on all sides. So once the beef has finished searing, I went ahead and diced up half of an onion. You can use as much onion as you want, but half of one is fine for me. And what that onion is going to do, it's going to soak up all of that flavor in the same pan that we seared the beef in. That's why we want to use just one pan throughout the whole cooking process. All that flavor is in the same pan. So the onion's going to soak it all up. It's going to take on a little bit of color from the meat. And you want to cook the onion on a medium to medium-low heat. You don't want to cook it on a high heat. You don't want to burn it. We're just basically cooking the onion out for 5 to 10 minutes just to make it a little bit more translucent and to make it a little bit sweeter. So don't cook it on high heat. Cook it about 5 to 10 minutes. And of course, I added a little bit of salt just to season it a little bit better. And while the onion's cooking, I went ahead and added a couple of bay leaves just because I had them laying around. And if you're wondering what a bay leaf is, it's a leaf that lives by the bay. So like I said, if you don't have any bay leaves laying around, don't worry about it. It just gives the dish a little bit more of a, kind of an undertone. At the last 30 seconds of the onion cooking, I went ahead and used a couple to a few cloves of garlic. I really like garlic. Mince it up and add it at the last 60 to 30 seconds of the dish. Remember, we're using low heat. We do not want to burn the garlic. Garlic cooks really quickly, and of course, the kitchen smells so flipping good right now. So once that garlic has been cooked out for about 30 to 60 seconds, go ahead, add a nice glug of red wine. Use the wine that you drink. That's my rule of thumb. Don't use anything expensive. There's no need to. Do not use an expensive wine while cooking. Enjoy that wine to have with the dinner. Don't cook with it though. It's been about a couple minutes now. The wine has simmered on the stovetop. It's reduced. The alcohol has been cooked off. Now is the time to add our beautiful San Marzano tomatoes. I love these tomatoes. They're, in my opinion, the best tomatoes in the world. So spend a couple extra bucks, get the San Marzano tomatoes. It's gonna make the sauce really special. Now that our sauce is simmering, I'm gonna go ahead and add a nice stem of basil. Slapped it with the palm of my hand to release the oils a little bit more. And some fresh oregano as well. I'm gonna let these herbs simmer in the sauce. And then when the sauce is done, I'm just going to go ahead and take that basil and oregano out, just so it's not, it's going to do its job for the next hour and a half as long as the sauce simmers. At the end, we'll just go ahead and remove it. No big deal. And of course, a little bit of water using the same can that the San Marzano tomatoes came in. And now it's time to add our rolled beef right into the sauce itself. It's going to simmer for the next hour and a half. It's going to finish cooking right in the sauce. It's going to give it so much flavor. This dish is phenomenal. You're going to love it, I promise. So like I said, the lowest heat as possible. Let it simmer. Don't boil it, just simmer it. Next hour and a half, however long you want to let the sauce go. But I think an hour and a half is a really sweet spot for it. Of course, you want to season it as well using some nice kosher salt. And yeah, just let it do its thing. It's finally been about an hour and a half. Went ahead, boiled some water, added some salt to the water, and I'm using a really cool pasta. You can use any pasta you want. For this, like I wanted like kind of a mini shell. This is orecchiette. I think I said it correctly. Sorry if I mispronounced it, but it's a really great pasta for this dish. Like I said, use any pasta you want though. Now the sauce is done. I'm just pulling out those herbs, that basil and oregano that I had originally pulled in it. I don't really want that in the actual dish itself. So I went ahead, fished those out. I went for a chunkier, much thicker, richer sauce for this dish. You can go, you can add more liquid if you don't want it as thick though, but however you want to eat it, that's your decision. But for myself, just for this dish, I went ahead and made that sauce a little bit chunkier. And now I'm cutting off the string for these beef rolls. Don't want to eat the string. If you went ahead and used toothpicks, pull the toothpicks out. You do not want to bite into a toothpick. Slicing the beef at an angle, and it smells so good right now. This is so exciting. You can see this cool little spiral. There's the filling. This, I mean, come on. Tomato sauce, beef rolls, pasta. You can't go wrong with this dish. So to a separate little mixing bowl, I added some pasta. And then I'll just add the sauce. I'll mix it up. Then I'll go ahead and plate it. Now I'm just going to add those beef rolls right on top. Put a little more tomato sauce over it. This is an awesome dish. You've got to give it a go. Finish it with a little bit of that really good Parmesan Reggiano, and you're in for a treat. This is a great winter dish. It's really filling, and it's really cost effective too. It's not expensive. It just requires a little time, a little bit of effort. As you can see, it's super easy, and just give it a go. You're going to love it, I promise.